Another StockPulse interview series in the mining sector. I have David Hotman, President and CEO of Orestone Mining Corp. That's ORS in the venture. David, I appreciate you taking some time here out of your busy day here. I wanted to kind of go through the story with you. This thing came across my desk, and it looks like you got a little bit of a reboot going on here. Why don't you take a minute and kind of lay out the opportunity of ORS here?
Rob, Orestone's recently completed a reorganization in the last number of months, and the company only has about 11.5 million shares outstanding, and we've brought on several new board members, which are bringing a lot of projects for evaluation to the company to add to the mix that we already have.
How's that management team looking and the overall structure of the company?
Basically, I'd like to say there's a lot of experience on the board and a lot of energy as well. The two people that we've just brought on are focused on bringing assets to the fore in the country of Chile. And Julia Espalaga and Patrick Daniels are their names. And we've worked with them many years ago where my partner and I were involved in Bema Gold Corporation, and we drilled off or were involved in putting together over 20 million ounces of gold as part of a team or members of a team. So additionally, on the board of directors, Gary and I were involved in, after Bema, we were involved in starting a company called Eldorado Gold, which is still in existence and quite successful. And back in that time frame, we met up with an individual by the name of Mark Brown, which was the controller of all the treasury functions at Eldorado. Basically, took care of the pocket strings, you might say. So there's a lot of depth there on the mining side on the board. The last member of the board of directors is John Kendurka, and he's the guy that I really go to for advice on business ideas and strategic planning because he's a very, very bright guy. The corporate structure is 11.5 million shares outstanding, or slightly over $1 million Canadian. But basically, about $1 million Canadian market capitalization, and it's fairly tight in the sense that officers, directors, and our family and a few associates own over 50% of the company. We've put a fair amount of money into it.
The assets of the company here, David.
Our primary asset is the Captain Project, which is located just south of the Mount Milligan mine in central British Columbia, Canada. Mount Milligan, if you're, I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's a multi-billion-dollar development or mine. Produces a lot of copper and gold on an annual basis. In addition to that, not assets yet, but we're looking for several different projects down in, or looking at several different projects down in Chile. And Chile's known to be elephant country. We've worked on some pretty big deposits down there in the past. So as I mentioned, our primary asset is just south of Mount Milligan, and that is a project where we've refined several drill targets over the last couple of years, and we think that they exhibit a lot of similarities to the Cadia Ridgeway mine in Australia. And for those that are not familiar with Cadia, it's over 40 million ounces of gold and lots of copper and silver as well. And it's already been in production for 20 years. It still has 40 million ounces. So we're hoping that we can have a little bit of drill success here at Captain this year. And even if we find a sliver of something that large, it would be pretty exciting for us.
And speaking of Chile, what are your plans for Chile this year?
So basically, Julia and Patrick have a large trap line of contacts. Julia's been in the mining business there for 30 years, and so we're looking at a lot of projects on paper. We've been down and visited several different projects, and there's some pretty exciting stuff down there. So we'll see where we can take that in the near term in terms of acquisitions. But I would say that near versus long term for acquisitions.
Well, it seems like things are lining up over there at Orestone, David. Tough market here. If you had some words to impart to the audience here, potential investors, shareholders that are in the game here, what would you impart to them?
Well, I guess what I'd like to say is that we've got a lot of our own money invested in the company. Orestone's the only public company that we're involved with, and we've been involved in building significant wealth back in the Bema Gold days in El Dorado, and since then with a couple of other companies that have been sold or taken over. And we believe that we can repeat that success with Orestone and create a lot of wealth for shareholders again.
Okay, there you go. David Hotman, President, CEO, Orestone Mining Corp. That's ORS in the venture. David, appreciate your time. We'll certainly look forward to your progress in the future.
Well, thank you very much, Rob.